Hi, my name is Rory Regan. My topic is gender stereotype. Uh, my introduction is sports are one of the most popular activities enjoyed by everyone on this planet. Men and women can enjoy sports together equally, but for some reason are not equal while playing. Stereotyping is a growing issue because if both can equally enjoy it, why can't they play as equals? Gender equality is not viewed as an accurate description, or is not viewed as accurate in the current age of sports for various reasons. Current stereotypes in sports are women athletes are secondary to men. There's also belief that women's sports are less important to men. Society even stereotypes women as lesbians simply because they play sports. Final real issue is drastic pay gap between male and female athletes. My mini literature review was the first article I researched was about gender equality. The website was unesco.org. The portrayal of women in sports media, number of women broadcasters, coverage of women's competitions and practice. This article displayed data that shows outside the major period of sporting festivals, statistics claim that 40% of all sports participants are women, yet women's sports receive only about 4% of coverage. The second article was from silverstreakonline.com. This one talked about that women are more objectified, shamed, and paid less because of another stereotype that men are more athletically gifted. The media has much to do with this lack of coverage and overall promotion of female sports. The article later discusses an interesting fact that teenage girls are 2 times more likely to drop out of sports than boys. Um, the next article was about Professors Elaine Blind and Diane Taub. The study conducted was on homophobia in women's sports. Based off an in-depth phone interviews with 24 athletes, the professors discovered that two major themes emerged. One was a silence surrounding the issue of lesbianism in women's sports, and two, athletes' internalization of societal stereotypes concerning lesbians and women athletes. The fourth was about the pay gap between male and female athletes. I found this one on sportanddev.org. The example here that I thought was staggering was that the Board of Control for Cricket in India pays Smriti Mandana 68.5 thousand US dollars per annum, which is 7% of Virat Kohli's annual income of 952,000 US dollars. This is just one sport that was a staggering pay gap, but still, nonetheless, it should be looked at. Cultural discourse analysis theory was brought up here, and what that is the study of how communication is relayed and received back to one another in society. Kuta studies why and how human beings communicate with one another. It gives a better understanding of why people have stereotypes, slang, and different meanings of communication, and how it differs from one culture to another. Kuta has 5 modes that each break down different types of communication. Those types of communication are theoretical mode, which is trying to understand why people do what they do. The second is descriptive mode, which breaks down why cultures communicate the way they do. The third is interpretive mode, which is about uncovering the significance of this form of communication. Fourth mode is comparative mode. The comparative mode compares one form of communication to another form. The final is critical mode, and this mode studies the inequalities one culture may have to cause this way of communication. Stereotype theories are the first is individual function, which systematizes and simplifies information to protect individual belief system. Then cognitive function, which means offering culturally accepted explanations for things. It justifies group action and provides means to differentiate one group from another. The third is epistemic function, which is to dehumanize, rationalize, or justify behavior towards another person. The final is esteem-related function, which are how one feels after acting a certain way towards someone. The methodology that I used to find all of this was I used gender stereotype. I researched gender stereotype by using scholarly sources. The 4 points I focused on are gender equality, how women are not treated equally, homophobia towards women who play sports, and the pay gap between genders. The data shows glaring gender stereotype discrimination towards female athletes. The media makes female athletes look lesser compared to male athletes. The description was that female sports are less entertaining, and not worth the public's time compared to male sports. The marketing side does not invest as much in female sports as it does male sports. Female uniforms are more revealing and less protective than male uniforms. Female athletes are also stereotyped to be lesbians because they play male sports. The media highlights male sports to make more profit for the channels that sponsor and generate significant revenue. The negative side is that this brings very little media exposure to female sports, thus, their sports do not generate as much. Personhood of stereotype I thought best was descriptive mode, which was the perfect way to dive deeper into gender stereotype and discrimination because the data stated earlier shows how much female athletes are not considered equal to men in sports because of how the media portrays them. The societal stereotype is that a female is a lesbian because they play a particular sport, and this stereotype is very much alive. These are all unfair stereotypes and discriminations towards female athletes. The radiant best applied here is the third, which is acting, action, and practice. This best applied because media believes they highlight male sports in the marketing side. The critical analysis and synthesis was that the negative side is that it brings very little media exposure to female sports, thus their sports do not generate much revenue. The Olympics is the main worldwide event where women can compete as equals to men. The negative is that most female sports fall back to lower priority when the Olympics are over. The positive here is that the world has a chance that female athletes can compete. It shows females and males are equal in sports. In conclusion, female athletes have been judged and given stereotype because of their appearance, performance, desire to play, and level of pay. We must look at these stereotypes and try to do better. Society needs to look at women as equals in sports as it does in the current day and age, and if we are to ever reach true equality. Women are equal to men, and it is time that the world of sports starts viewing it similarly. Male athletes do not encounter the same problems as female athletes, and are paid more for doing the same job. So we must overcome this stereotype. Here's my references listed for all the links that I use for data. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you for your time.